Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister blasts two telecoms giants for, quote, raping customers with high markups. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, December 19th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has accused telecommunications companies Digicel and Flow of raping customers in the Twin Island nation by selling the local utilities provider broadband service at a ridiculous markup. And Irish-owned telecoms provider Digicel is now seeking an urgent meeting with the Antiguan leader. In a statement, Digicel said it noted with consternation the statements made by the Prime Minister with regard to its commercial practices. It said the statements were inaccurate and inappropriate. Speaking on a local radio station, Brown had said that Digicel and Flow were selling to the Antigua Public Utilities Authority, the APUA, that broadband service wholesale at a markup of about 600%. The Prime Minister said that Flow and Digicel probably have a profit margin of about 1,000% on their retail prices, as he described their model as exploitative. He said his administration will not sit back and allow it to continue. But responding to the accusations, Digicel said, quote, with serious issues around the liberalization of the fixed line market and number portability to name but two, this is just the latest in a series of moves being made to stifle competition in the telecoms market in Antigua and Barbuda for the benefit of the state-owned APUA, end of quote. Digicel added that as champions of competition in the telecoms market across the region, it will be seeking an urgent meeting with the Prime Minister to address the issues and chart a positive way forward for all parties and for the benefit of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. Over in Grenada, Flow has filed a lawsuit against the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, ECTEL, in a bid to revoke the 700 spectrum license granted to Digicel. Public Utility Minister Gregory Bowen did not provide details on the lawsuit, but he told Parliament on Wednesday that Flow is claiming discrimination by the regulatory bodies because both it and Digicel had applied at the same time for the license and only Digicel got approval. But he explained that the license was granted to Digicel first because it was able to engage in discussions with a smaller telecoms company in Grenada, which operates on the same frequency. Bowen added that Digicel had also been the first to provide an amicable resolution between itself and the small company. The license provides for Digicel to operate its recently launched LTE service. The Barbados government says it stands to save at least $36 million annually from renegotiating bad contracts struck by the previous administration. In a ministerial statement to Parliament on Tuesday night, when she delivered a report card on how the ruling Barbados Labour Party has done since winning the May 24th general elections, Prime Minister Mia Mottley said the government is renegotiating several of those contracts. From one renegotiated contract alone, she said the government could save about $17 million per year over the remaining life of the contract, which is about another 10 years.
We have been renegotiating, sir, a number of one-sided contracts struck by the last government. And while we are not finished, we are now confident, sir, that we can save at least $36 million per year from renegotiating contracts struck during the previous administration with the Barbados Water Authority and the Sanitation Services Authority alone. At least $36 million per year. That is more than it costs us to pay the salaries of all who have been sent home from central government, which is almost 1,000 workers, and they come up to $29 million a year.
Well, even as she expressed regret at the layoffs in the public service, the Prime Minister declared that her administration is delivering on its promises to citizens and the country is back on a solid economic path. She pointed out that foreign reserves have reached their highest level in 4 years. The Barbados dollar is no longer in danger of being devalued, and the debt to GDP ratio has fallen to 123%. Motley also noted that the island received its first credit rating upgrade in 15 years. And the Prime Minister contended that to say Barbados had come a long and far way would be the understatement of the year.
But what we assured the people of Barbados 6 months ago was that we would work assiduously and selflessly to turn the outlook and the fortunes of this country around. We promised that we would stop the decay and the decline, that we would stop the hemorrhaging, and that we would return pride to and confidence in the Barbadian brand. We promised 6 months ago, sir, that we would bring Barbados back to where it belongs, in the region, in the world, and in the psyche of Barbadians both living at home and abroad. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to report this evening that using every yardstick and every other measure available to me, that this noble mission has been accomplished. Barbados is on the road again. Barbados is this evening, sir, punching above its weight.
Motley was quick to add that Barbados is not yet completely out of the woods, but she was confident of a much improved 2019.
We hope in the new year to get our economy fully out of the woods and back on a desired path. I'm sorry that to date there has been some pain. And the truth is, sir, I cannot promise a rose garden in the next 12 months. But what I can say is that I am confident that by the 18th of December 2019, fewer persons in this country will have reason to complain. By the 18th of December 2019, fewer persons will be without a job. By the 18th of December 2019, fewer persons will be living below the poverty line. And by the 18th of December 2019, our infrastructure will be undergoing a major overhaul, and the standard of our living of our people will continue to raise.
The Dominica government says it's now in possession of more than 27 acres of land, which it had leased to the U.S.-owned Ross University, which earlier this year relocated to Barbados. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt says the government has always stated that the property which housed Ross University belonged to the state, as per an agreement between the government and the university back in 1994. He added that he was pleased the offshore medical institution had come to that understanding, and as a result, Dominica is now in a better position to continue discussions and negotiations with a possible replacement. Earlier this year, Ross left Dominica under controversial circumstances after having been on the island for the past 40 years. And Prime Minister Skerritt hinted that his administration was prepared to take legal action against the university regarding the ownership and occupation of buildings on lands that had been leased to the institution. Skerritt says now that they have legal access to the property, interested buyers can now go in and inspect the campus unfettered. He says there's a next step in the discussions with Ross in respect to compensation for the breach of their lease agreement, and that's a matter for the Attorney General. Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Jamaica's Prime Minister and opposition leader to meet to discuss tackling crime. Stay with us.
exceptional fun, meet amazing people, enjoy fantastic food, and rock the nights away to world-class music at the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival. 3 nights of musical entertainment from the 27th to the 29th of June 2019. Book now and save the date. For more information, log on to stkittsmusicfestival.net. St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Shower in the morning, shower in the evening, or take a fresh at night. Enjoy a warm shower with Solar Dynamics, you feel alright. Comfort, safety, temperature guaranteed. Long service, fulfilling your every need. Take a shower in comfort, no more upstream water touch you. Solar Dynamics is the best for you. Save on electricity, be environmentally friendly. Solar Dynamics is the one for you.
Welcome back. As the state of emergency in parts of Jamaica approaches expiration, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips has agreed to meet with Prime Minister Andrew Holness to discuss how to deal with the crime situation in the country. Holness had written to Phillips on Tuesday, calling for the meeting to be held ahead of the expiration of states of emergency SOEs next month and calling for a united front in dealing with the crime situation in Jamaica. In response, Phillips told Holness that his People's National Party, PNP, was willing to meet with him and other stakeholders to reach a consensus on solutions to control crime within the boundaries of the Constitution. But he made it clear that the PNP was still of the view that a state of emergency is not the only option. Last week, the government failed to get the support of the parliamentary opposition for an extension to the state of emergency in several areas. We get more in this report from Andrea Chisholm of TVJ News.
Government and opposition have been sticking to their positions since Tuesday. For the government, the SOEs in St. James, St. Catherine North, and the sections of the corporate area are effective, and the security forces need more time to catch criminals. But for the opposition, there's no comprehensive crime plan. The SOEs have been going on for almost a year, and they are unconstitutional. So Andrew Holness wrote to Dr. Peter Phillips asking for a meeting before the SOEs end in January to talk about the opposition's position and identify solutions to reach consensus and extend the security measures. Mr. Holness said political disunity would embolden criminals, plus he met with several stakeholders including the private sector and civil society. He said those stakeholders and the general public believe that Parliament should continue to support the use of emergency powers to contain and control criminal activity. Hours later, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips responded in writing, saying he also met with several stakeholders, including small businesses, church leaders, attorneys from Western Jamaica, and civil society. The opposition leader said he did not find overwhelming consensus that the use of emergency powers is the only way to control criminal activity. Dr. Phillips adds that the opposition has received advice from constitutional experts that any extension of the SOEs in the current circumstances will be unconstitutional. Nonetheless, the opposition says it's willing to meet with the Prime Minister, preferably along with other stakeholders, to be agreed to discuss the matter.
The Caribbean Rastafarian Organization is praising Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown for seeking reparatory justice for the Rastafarian community. Brown had said that due to the atrocities committed against members of the community, Rastafarians in Antigua will not have to pay for licenses for the cultivation of cannabis. We get more in this HTS News Force report.
The Caribbean Rastafari Organization has lauded Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown for standing up and speaking out for the Rastafarian movement. Brown recently issued a heartfelt apology to the Rastafari community for persecution and abuse due to their cannabis use. Brown stated that, quote, the prohibition of cannabis less than 100 years ago was prompted not by motives or concern for the health or well-being of users, but to serve the racist political and economic interest of the then global powers, end quote. Marijuana is essential to Rastafarian rituals, celebrations, and worship.
As a result of the atrocities, the Rastafari community won't be asked to pay any license for the cultivation of cannabis in Antigua. He sees it as an opportunity where the Rastafari community can leverage themselves to kind of alleviate the poverty which exists among them, as well as to help other brothers and sisters in their community in terms of economic recovery.
In February, Antigua and Barbuda decriminalized small amounts of the drug and in April allowed for the use of medicinal marijuana. Prime Minister Brown says Rastafarians should be first in line to benefit from the fast-emerging cannabis industry.
Rastafari is not displaced from this very lucrative space. It's a space that you have occupied for many decades. You've paid the price. Many of you have even given your lives, or those in the past for that matter who have been killed by vicious policemen and others would have given their lives to sustain your beliefs and certainly your practices, to include your religious practices. So I think it's important that within CARICOM in particular, that there's a carve-out for Rastafari to make sure that you can benefit from this very important space, one that is now developing into a very lucrative global industry.
The Antiguan Prime Minister urged Rastafarians to formalize the movement.
Trinidad and Tobago's President Paula Mae Weeks says the Twin Island Republic has an obligation to refugees and that citizens should be compassionate towards people who have fled their homes in search of a better life. She made the comment in commemoration of International Migrants' Day, celebrated on Tuesday. The president noted that economic desperation in Venezuela has led to millions of people seeking refuge in nearby countries, including Trinidad and Tobago, and one woman with dual Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago citizenship is also pleading for a more humane approach to dealing with migrants. We get more in this TV6 News report.
Has called for the nation to be more humane amidst the migration epidemic. Mirroring those statements, Venezuelan Bertha Soncao, who has been living in Trinidad for 39 years, said that having infrastructure to facilitate migrants would benefit everyone.
You give them work permits. In that way, one, you are protecting them from unscrupulous people that want to take advantage of them. Secondly, you also are using very skilled labor to help the people in Trinidad and Tobago to develop agriculture, the energy sector, many industries.
She said migration is something that is not done easily. Sometimes it's involuntary.
It's not easy to see your children being starved. It's not easy to see your elderly people dying because of lack of medicine and basic medicine. So what I will ask my people, because I live in Trinidad for 39 years, is let's look beyond what is in front of you, dig a little bit deeper and see a human being in need.
Adding there is a dire need for legislation if refugees are to be properly protected and for the country they are in is to benefit from their presence. However, the government needs to lead the way. But first, we need to see each other as human beings.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, a former head coach calls for change in West Indies cricket. We'll tell you who and what he's saying after the break.
What does the president want, Ambassador? What does President Trump? What is his end game?
Well, I don't know what in the world of everything what he wants. I do know that he wants to appoint good judges. And
I'm talking about in terms of the Mueller investigation. Let's stay here. What is he actually? What is the outcome that he's seeking? Because listen, he wasted no time letting Sessions go. I'm sure that letter was sitting in his desk for the last 6 months.
On this special Christmas edition of Caribbean Passport, we take in the sights and sounds of Believe, the Christmas edition. Stay tuned for it all right here on this station.
Continuing with sports now, former West Indies head coach Phil Simmons has held out little hope of a revival for his former team's fortunes unless key decisions are made in the Caribbean in the best interest of the game. His comments came in light of the Windies' nightmare tour of Bangladesh when they were whitewashed 2-0 in the Test series and then went down 2-1 in the 3-match one-day series. The Test series defeat was the first for the Caribbean side on Bangladeshi soil and the first by a full-strength team to the hosts. Simmons says unless somebody decides to do the right things where cricket is concerned, things will remain as they are for a while. The series loss left West Indies in a precarious position in the ICC Test rankings, and now they're only a single ratings point away from joining Bangladesh in the 9th spot. Their fortunes have also continued to slump in the one-day format, leaving them 9th in the international rankings and only 5 ratings points ahead of Afghanistan. Simmons won the T20 World Cup with West Indies 2 years ago, but was sacked 6 months later for what Cricket West Indies termed differences in culture and strategic approach. Leading Barbados Trident's batsman Dwayne Smith says he and other team members are yet to be paid all their monies owed from this year's Caribbean Premier League campaign, and he believes the situation could hurt the image of the popular tournament. Smith is also worried that the pending extradition from the United Kingdom of the Trident's owner, Dr. Vijay Mallya, to face alleged fraud and money laundering charges in India could further exacerbate the situation. Mallya, an Indian business magnate, purchased the Barbados-based franchise 2 years ago, but he has been facing financial and legal issues in recent years. He fled India in 2016 and has been exiled in England since, battling extradition to face what the Indian courts say amounts to nearly $1 billion in unpaid debt. Last week, a London court ruled Mallya could be extradited to face charges pending Home Office approval. Smith described the development as disturbing and said what was even more frustrating was the lack of information. He and Tridents endured a tumultuous campaign in the CPL this year, losing 8 of their 10 games to finish dead last and miss out on the playoffs for a second straight year. For his part, Smith struggled, gathering only 185 runs from 7 matches with a single half-century. The 35-year-old said it was important for the Tridents franchise to honor its commitment to players. Kolkata Knight Riders Managing Director Venki Mysore believes all-rounder Carlos Brathwaite will be an asset to the franchise. He also believes Brathwaite could form a dynamic combination with fellow West Indies teammates Sunil Narine and Andre Russell in next year's Indian Premier League. The 30-year-old Brathwaite was picked up by KKR for $709,000 following a bidding war with Kings 11 Punjab, making him one of the most expensive buys in Tuesday's auction. Brathwaite will now join Narine and Russell, forming a potentially lethal trio, especially with their powerful all-round skills. Narine is best known for his brilliant off-spin, which has already earned him 112 wickets in 98 IPL matches. Russell, a big-hitting lower-order batsman, gathered 316 runs last season and grabbed 13 wickets with his pace. Jamaica and West Indies pacer O'Shane Thomas is among 5 West Indian cricketers who've secured spots in the IPL. His selection came after some impressive performances this year. We get more in this report from TVJ Sports.
2018 has been a breakout year for fast bowler O'Shane Thomas. The 21-year-old starred for the Jamaica Talawas in the Caribbean Premier League this year, finishing second in the wickets column with 18 scalps in 10 matches. It then earned him a call-up to the West Indies Limited Overs team, taking 10 wickets, including 3 for 54 against Bangladesh in their second one-day international last Tuesday. Those performances caught the eye of several IPL teams, but the Rajasthan Royals forked up $154,000 or 1.97 million Jamaican dollars for the right-arm pacer. West Indies T20 captain Carlos Brathwaite was sold for $700,000 to the Kolkata Knight Riders, joining Jamaican Andre Russell and Trinidadian Sunil Narine. Shimron Hetmeyer, who was impressed with the bat for Guyana and the West Indies, will join Virat Kohli and the Royal Challengers Bangalore for $588,000. Windies wicketkeeper batsman Nicholas Puran will team up with Jamaican Chris Gayle after being drafted by the Kings 11 Punjab for US $588,000. And the Guyanese pair of Keemo Paul and Sherfane Rutherford joined the Delhi Capitals for a combined $350,000. The Indian Premier League is scheduled to bowl off in March next year.
Suriname has named a 13-man squad to compete in the International Futsal Festival hosted by Ghana later this month. The event is organized by the Ghana Football Federation. We get more in this report from HGP Nightly News.
8 participating teams, of which the Suriname ZV All-Stars is a part, are booked to arrive in Guyana on December 26th. The Suriname ZV All-Stars, who won the National Futsal League in 2017, are now ranking in 4th place and will strive to sweat their way to the top in this 4-day festival. 6 matches will be played from the 1800 hour, while the final match timetable to play at 2300 hours. Georgetown All-Stars team will have an opportunity to play the Suriname side in the 5th match of the evening. 2 other international teams participating in the festival are Morven Caledonia United from Trinidad and Tobago and Sao Paulo Selection from Brazil.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport round the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and good night.